Hi, my name is Aimless. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, and if you get something out of this video, please hit that like button and consider leaving a comment. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today, I want to talk about isolation. And first up, a disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional, so please don't take any of this as such. I'm merely trying to share my experiences with isolation in the hopes that somebody else may use this as a guidepost to help them with the struggle of isolation, because make no mistake, isolation is a struggle. So what do I mean by isolation? From a mental health perspective, the term self-isolation is used just to describe the behavior of cutting yourself off from everyone and everything for many reasons. Typically, that's listed as depression, anxiety, burnout, and trauma, generally speaking. There's a lot of reasons why, from a mental health perspective, you might be self-isolating. And I don't want to go too much into those. I want to talk about simply what you can do to make the most out of being isolated, regardless of the reasons. Because sometimes you might find yourself isolated and it's not mental health related at all. You might be isolated simply as a result of your current life situation, whatever that may be. So if that's the case, if you're currently isolated and you're struggling with it, that's the purpose of this video. It's going to be somewhat simple, but I've dealt with isolation throughout my entire life, from childhood through adulthood, for many different reasons. I struggled with depression as a child, and as an adult, I'm no longer medicated for depression. I don't really suffer from it as much. Everybody gets depressed from time to time. I'm not saying that I'm above all of that, but as a generalized disorder, that's not me, but I have experience with it, is the point that I'm trying to get to. So, also because of trauma, I have self-isolated. Sometimes you just need the space to process things. And out of my experiences with isolation, I've learned a lot of lessons about how damaging it can be to your relationships if you're not careful. Because isolating, you might be doing this just for your own survival, just for your own benefit, but you don't want to damage your life any more than you need to. Yes, you should cut out that which does not serve and, engender, grow that which does serve, so that you can, spiral up and ascend and do better. But isolation can be very damaging, and it's hard to see when you're stuck inside your head. So let's see, I just talked about the different reasons for isolation and all of that. So once you take all of those reasons away, you're isolated, and being isolated is simply put a struggle. But what are you struggling with? What is it that you're really struggling with? Are you struggling with other people? Because if you are, you're fighting that which is not there, because you're isolated, right? If you've got somebody in your head, if you feel like you're struggling and you've got a picture of somebody else in your head, you need to let that go. Because that's the first lesson right now, is just detachment. The art of detachment. You should look that up. It's very interesting, because when you say detachment, most people come to this idea that it means uncaring or cold, and that's the furthest from the truth. So it's really the practice of emotionally distancing yourself from people, situations, or outcomes. And putting that another way, the ability to allow people, places, things, or outcomes the freedom to be themselves. So I found that meditation was one of these great tools from which to practice and learn the art of detachment. Because through meditation, I was able to identify those attachments and really feel them out. And through journaling, I was able to kind of get them out of my head. And this is, again, for me, was a huge part of the struggle with being isolated and starting to get to a point where isolation is not so much of a problem, but an opportunity to deepen the connection with the self. And that's bringing me to a point where, I'm jumping around a little bit, I apologize, but spiritual isolation. If you take isolation generally, if you look at, well, I'm isolated, what does this mean? And if you simply say, okay, this is an opportunity for me to improve myself, for me to learn about myself, to increase my self-awareness, then that is what I call spiritual isolation. Again, an opportunity to deepen your connection with yourself. And that's the perspective that really turned things around for me, was, well, there you are. All alone, all by yourself. And guess what? No matter what you do, well, if you take care of yourself, you're still gonna be there tomorrow, and you're gonna be there the next day. And that's fine, because you are worthy of love, you are worthy of life. And the struggle can be real. So let's get into those things. First, I talked about the art of detachment. The art of detachment. Meditation helps a lot. Journaling helps a lot. You want to get those thoughts and ideas out of your head any way that you can. Sometimes, because if you're isolated and there's no one around, if you're in a space where you can talk out loud, who's going to hear you? You might as well just talk to spirit, talk to yourself, talk so that you hear another voice, talk so that you can get those thoughts and ideas out of your head and into the air. And by all means, please speak kindly of yourself. Do not insult yourself. You have to speak positivity and gratitude into your life. That's the second lesson. You have to be grateful for all the things around you. Find any little thing to be grateful for and really feel it. Gratitude is like a reflex that you have to work on slowly each day. And if you don't start, you'll never learn it. And so it sounds kind of cheesy at first, but really, be grateful for everything. I'm grateful for my phone. I'm grateful for this painting on the wall. Otherwise I would have a blank wall. It can be anything. So get creative and get grateful. Learn the art of detachment and learn the art of gratitude. Next, minimize and choose your distractions. Okay? Sometimes those distractions work against us. They start filling our head with noise, and we get into that gibbering, chattering monkey brain. You want to be more clear in order to start getting to the space where you can increase your self-awareness and start being more observant of your thoughts and feelings, so that you can start dealing with them through those practices like journaling and meditation and the art of detachment. Why am I struggling to say detachment? So it's really important to be aware of your distractions. Are you playing a lot of video games? There's nothing wrong with it. You just cannot fill your day with YouTube or TV shows, streaming. You can't fill, if you're isolated and you're trying to get better, your distractions can work against you. So becoming comfortable with the silence, and again, meditation helps here. Find a quiet place, get very still and very quiet, breathe low and deep, and just keep doing that and watch your breath. Become comfortable with the silence. It's difficult. It's difficult, but you can get there. I mean, a lot of people have started exactly where you are right now. And they have been able to get to the point where the idea of sitting alone in silence for an hour is not that big of a deal. I mean, do you do that all the time? No. I mean, you've got other things to do, like cook and take care of yourself. And that brings us to the next lesson, which is self-care. You must take care of yourself. Trim your fingernails, do all of that stuff. And self-care comes in many different forms. Sometimes you just need to take a shower, or sometimes you really need to just take a bath and relax and breathe into that heat and let it soak into you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking a nice, long, hot bath. Besides, that's one of the best ways to trim your toenails after you get out, is when they're nice and soft. And you can, well, there's a lot of things that you can do. I like to use actual sea salt or some kind of salt. Like I'll go to Costco and I'll buy pink Himalayan sea salt, and I'll use that, and I'll baste myself like a turkey in the bathtub, and I'll soak in that. It feels pretty good. There's something about the electrolytes of it. I don't know. I'm sure that there's some scientific reason why I come out of that bathtub always feeling better after I do that. I don't always do that, but that's just one of the things that you can take a spiritual bath. Take care of yourself. Find interesting ways. Be creative in your self-care. Don't go overboard, because you still, you want to be a productive person. But I digress. So the next part is routine and daily structure. By daily structure, I mean those things that are autonomic. You wake up and you do X, Y, and Z. When you go to bed, you do X, Y, and Z. Those things that you simply do at those other times. But when I say routine, and I made a short about this, it has to be dynamic and resilient to life's demands. Sometimes, and I've struggled with this, to make a routine, something happens in life and it just throws you off your kilter. So a routine, I've found, is better woven like a tapestry from your habits, where your habits are like threads. And so you end up in situations where you observe what's going on, something out of the blue, unexpected has occurred in your life, and it throws your routine off. But because you have a nice tapestry of habits, you're able to swing with the punches and just keep going. It's extremely helpful, and it keeps you from, getting knocked off your track, getting knocked off your height, whatever analogy you want to use. You have to work on that routine to be dynamic and resilient. So hopefully that helps you too. And that is basically it. If you can accomplish those tasks, the art of detachment, minimizing and choosing your distractions, getting a routine, self-care, gratitude, those are the ways that you can turn your isolation into a practice of deepening the connection with yourself. Don't forget to breathe. I hope you found some value in this. If you're still here, thank you so much. Please consider subscribing, like the video, and to be honest, I could use some help right now. So the links to donations are down in the About section. I would appreciate and love any amount of help that you could throw at me. And please take care and be well. I love thee.